Hey everyone, and hey everyone, welcome back to welcome back to the Elder Scrolls of Guild and Coin. So this is part two of session two, where somebody decided to go off the deep end and eat people, and people that he chose to eat,
fuck ton of trouble.
people he tried to eat were actually intended to be killed by the Dark Brotherhood. Um, the Dark Brotherhood, seeing this as basically theft of a contracted kill in the name of Sithis, basically said, okay, well, either you die now or you kill someone for us. So it was decided to kill someone for us. Um, the assassin leads you guys back through um, Ebonheart and to the docks, where you guys board a ship and you set sail. And you set sail at sunrise.
Yay.
And where are we going?
He doesn't tell you.
What?
Um,
What do you mean he doesn't tell me?
it seems like he's a bit miffed with the Jaunty.
Oh, come on.
So
At least
and
he
it could.
paid me for the job I just did.
That's not his role.
Ah,
So you guys sail for maybe about 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's a while.
Two
Yeah.
freaking weeks?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ,
Well-
I have to deal with 2 weeks with these people?
Yep.
yes.
Anything you guys would like to do on your voyage?
Yes, I have.
Become good friends.
I read.
I would like to take advantage of my feat that I have taken, called Gourmand, which lets me cook well. So I
Also, I want to work out, too.
Eat your food.
eat my food.
We can be friends.
We're friends
Uh,
now. Hooray.
Hooray.
I
Bring
don't-
everyone together.
I don't think I allowed feats, but we can say that. I can say that you can practice on your cooking and be a gourmand.
Fine. All right. We'll do that.
Oh no, you gotta practice.
I gotta practice.
If you set the ship on fire, I'm gonna be so mad.
If you
So-
feed me bad food, I don't know if we can be friends.
So Thurman,
Friendship.
what would you like to cook?
What am I gonna cook? A classic Argonian delicacy. Burnt
Oh
fish
god.
Burnt fish
on rice.
on rice. Burnt fish on rice. Okay.
Yes. Well, it's battered fish. It's battered, so it's like deep fried.
Yeah.
Mostly burnt.
Okay. So go ahead and I would allow a nature, medicine, or wisdom check.
Okay. Nature, medicine.
And before you give me the result, I'd like to know who is partaking of the fish on rice.
It
Yes.
depends on how awful it looks.
Damn.
I'm a master of cooking. Didn't you know?
No.
See, I actually studied the culinary arts while I was in training to become a member of the Dark Brotherhood. True. I also have a minor in women's studies.
Duncan, are you going to partake in the fish on rice?
Yes.
Okay, I got. Okay, I got like 5.
Did you burn the rice?
So
I'm still eating it.
So he brings out these bowls of rice that has just been so overcooked that they are that the rice is dry and almost hard. And then when you look at the fish, it's not a frying fish. You're basically looking at these sardines, or not even sardines, they're anchovies.
Oh god.
That he had attempted to batter in a batter that was too thin, and it looks like the frying oil had actually partially melted the fish. and it's just kind of been sloppily spooned over the rice, along with most of the frying oil.
I am going to make myself a sandwich.
I say, in the classic words of a Breton I once knew, bon appetite.
Bone apple tie.
Bone apple with the teeth.
My orphan brother used to make it down in the streets. My not related brother, but they're my brother. He also burnt everything.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick to like breads and cheese, and if there is fruit,
I'll eat
and
it.
spiced wine if we have that. I'm gonna stick to that.
Okay.
She just looks at it and is just like, "That's disgusting," and goes back to eating her bread.
So, eventually, the journey takes you into colder reaches. Snow begins to fall around the ship, and the water becomes like it gets that choppy look that kind of happens in winter.
Yes.
I do not like this.
And eventually on the horizon, you can see snow-covered land rising up from the water, and tall stone walls that are topped with like wooden roofs. And you guys hear the Imperial. Not much further now. That's Windhelm just up ahead.
Well, make it quick because I'm sick of like, just like doing nothing.
Okay. Now, from my knowledge of Windhelm and of the Nords of Skyrim, is this pre-super racist Windhelm or post-super racist Windhelm?
So the Windhelm you experience in the Elder Scrolls, in the Elder Scrolls 5, is under the control of the Stormcloaks. That's in the 4th era. Our game that we're playing in right now is actually over 1,000 years prior.
Well, fuck me. Okay.
So are they super racist or less racist? You
They're
didn't actually answer the question.
They're less racist. There's always going to be a little bit of racism from the Nords because Skyrim belongs to the Nords, but it's a lot less so in this era.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So eventually, you guys pull up. You guys begin to dock at the Windhelm docks. And the assassin leads you off of the ship and along the southern wall. As you come further south, you're following along the edge of a river that had it's a river that lets out into the sea, and that's what you guys had sailed up in order to get to the docks. You travel along the river until you reach a large bridge that crosses over that river. You cross over the bridge, and he leads you off to the side to a small trapdoor that is set in near a stable. Opens it up and says, "Down you go."
Well,
I am not going first.
I'll go first. Big weenies.
I'll go after Zyra.
I'll also go.
To get this over with.
Okay. I will go in after the orc.
Okay. Ashanti, you entering?
yes.
Okay.
I have no reason to distrust this man.
Fair enough. So you guys enter into what can only be described as a thieves' den. Here and there, you see thieves either enjoying some cheap mead and counting out coin. You see a fence or two kind of buying illicit wares and selling illicit wares. You see a few other thieves kind of planning out little heists of their own. And the assassin leads you off to the side and to where to a stone wall and presses a particular stone, and the wall opens up, leading into a small cave. At which point, which only goes for about 30 or so feet, before you're stopped by a large iron door, and you can hear the sound of a heartbeat, kind of pulsing in your eardrums, and you're pretty sure there's some sort of magic that is connected to this door. The door has this image of a skull set into it, and as you approach, you hear it speak. What is the color of fear?
I look at forward am I? Because I'm pretty unhappy with this situation.
I would know the answer to this, right?
Yes. So you've been trained with a lot of these passwords for sanctuaries. And this one, you know the answer to be Sublime, my brother.
Sublime.
Sublime is not a color.
Well,
Sublime is not a color. Wouldn't it be black and the color of death and
I
stuff
was
like
gonna
that?
say yellow because of piss,
I was
but
also
I mean,
gonna say that.
You fear piss.
Sublime works too, I suppose. We're going with Crayola color box here. All right.
the door opens and you guys walk through. And it's a large cavern, just like other ones that you've kind of seen here and there. Only this one has various skeletons kind of standing guard on either side of the corridors. Torches dimly lit the cavern amid the stalactites and stalagmites. You're pretty sure you can hear the squeaks of rats and the fluttering of bat wings as well. And as you travel forward a bit more, a large stained glass window of a bleeding heart and a skull kind of showers multicolored light down into a large atrium. And there, Jaunty, you see the very same speaker that had given you your initial contract.
Howdy. Mission
Ah.
accomplished.
As expected. As always, a good job on your part. And he hands you a bag with 100 septums in it.
Ooh, very nice. I'll take it.
Then he kind of turns his eyes toward the rest of you.
Good God.
So word has traveled ahead that you have stolen a kill from us. And just so you guys know,
My fault. It really wasn't.
We've been through this, and since we're all associated with each other, for better or for worse, this is how this is gonna be going.
Yeah,
I
for
suppose.
worse because you're involved.
Hey, I'm sure we'll all have a chance to be the worst in this group.
I beg to differ on that one.
the man who's
Time
speaking
will
to you,
tell.
the man who's speaking to you is dressed in black robes with a hand emblazoned on the chest. And he's an older Breton man. And
It's I forgot his name from the Skyrim game, but it's Patronus or something like that, or I don't know.
no, it's not Tyrannus. This is remember, this is 1,000 years earlier.
It can be 1,000 years.
He just eyes all of you. Well, a murderer begets a murderer. And the Night Mother has spoken. And so he kind of leads you over to a book that's set up on a pedestal in the main atrium. And he flips it open, and you guys can see all sorts of different writings inside. Various different hands have written in it. And this book looks ancient. For all you know, it could date back to the First Era.
Shit. That's an old ass book.
And he kind of points at one name in particular. I think this will be sufficient. And he kind of hands each of you a piece of paper that he'd had folded in his robes, and when you open it up, it gives a name. You've never seen this name before. It's something to the effect of Joel Meathog or something to that. It's insignificant. But all you know is that according to the paper, you need to commit this act of murder in public. How you killed him in public is entirely up to you. But the message still needs to be sent regardless. And then he hands each of you a dagger.
I don't use daggers, man. I have a staff.
Believe me,
I think
Go ahead.
I said I think
I want 2 daggers.
what he's saying is that regardless of what, we have to use this dagger to kill this person, I presume?
Why? It's gonna get special bonus points?
Can our mages do an Arcana check for me, please?
I guess I'm also
Alright.
a magic user.
You're the coward.
You're the cat.
I'm kind of a magic user, so let's see.
I have spells.
Yeah,
I'll roll.
I have-
20.
11.
I know one.
I got an 11 too.
Oh, 21. From my proficiency 3, not 2.
Okay. So, if you're at an 11, the blade does seem enchanted somehow.
Mm-hmm.
If you're at 20 plus, this dagger has just based off of the feeling you get from the enchantment, it's some sort of dark yet divine enchantment that's been placed on it. And as Achanti would know, it does have a soul-stealing enchantment on it.
Yes.
Heck, if you don't want your dagger, I'll take it.
I think I'll be good. I don't trust you with it.
That's rude.
I mean, one is enough. I don't trust you with the second one.
Why not? What have I done?
What have you
Does the blade look of good quality and sharpness?
It is a very beautiful blade. Let me see if I can pull up a picture for you. Are you asking the speaker?
Yes.
Those blades are yours to keep. However, unless you choose to join the Brotherhood after your kill is complete, the enchantment will wear off.
That's fair.
She looks at him. Does the enchantment affect the quality of the blade? Is she still examining the blade?
He looks at you. He says, "No."
Good.
Let's see here.
Just good.
What? It's a nice dagger.
Should I trust you with that too?
Probably not.
In all honesty, I don't think you should trust any of us with this, but it's...
Yeah.
Don't trust me.
To be fair,
this
but
is
I
the
can't
group that
take
you are
all of
in.
your knives. I can't take all of your knives. I don't think so. You guys would probably try to steal it back from me.
I'm pretty sure Zero would stab you with it before you could get it from her.
Wow, you would stab your own dad for a knife.
I'm just saying, you probably should not take the weapon from the tiny, tiny girl.
I mean, if she could stop my staff, then yeah, sure.
So I'm assuming Zira's adding it to her collection.
Yes. She's like, oh, yeah. She has her 2 blades, those other 2 Dunmar blades, and now she has a dagger. I had discarded the longsword. It was useless.
Great. Now we have a murderous child on our hand. Two
You
murderous
always
children.
had a murderous child on your hands.
Well, yeah, we
Is there
did.
anyone
Yeah.
here who hasn't committed a murder?
I mean, she did kill those 2 guards on the shoreline.
Is that murder, though? Because that was a battle going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, exactly. See, she's not a murderer. She's just very good at self-defense.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I would just like to say that I have murdered no one except what I have consumed, which would be fish.
I actually haven't murdered anyone, so
Hey,
yeah.
In our next mission, you might get a chance, new experiences and whatnot.
Yes, new experiences. Join the murder party.
Actual corpse party.
I'm sorry, you can't sit with us unless you've done a murder.
So would you guys like to compare your contracts?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. Let's see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you. And 3 contracts shared between the 5. The first one is for a certain Wilmsome elf rival. If you guys would like to do some investigation, there are some resources here in the sanctuary that can give you a basic idea of where your quarry may be.
Wait, so do we all have different contracts?
There are 3 contracts shared between the 5 of you.
Okay.
I shall roll investigation.
Okay. There are 3 names: Wilmsome elf rival, Argon the scribe, and Dromir the innocent.
I got 12 in investigation.
Which name would you like to investigate?
Wait, what were the names again?
What's that?
What were the names again?
The names are Wilmsome elf rival, Argon the scribe, and Dromir the innocent. I shall
take the elf rival.
I shall put them up into text.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes, please. Place. Yeah, evil. Place. I want to take the elf rival.
Okay.
Apply my 16 investigate to the Dromir the innocent, because that's heckin' shady.
I would also like to put mine to, which I rolled a 10.
Okay.
I shall investigate the
innocent.
scribe.
Okay. So starting with the innocent, I think that was a 10 to a 16, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming you guys share the information amongst yourselves.
Yes.
So Dromir is actually the innocent is a name that he applied to himself. He is a Nord thief who occasionally spends time in the thieves' den, but also spends quite a bit of time in the Sober Nord, which is a tavern up in Windhelm. Between then, he can often be found patrolling the streets of Windhelm, trying to pickpocket and sneak thief. And then, let's see. Who's going for elf rival?
Me.
Okay. Elf rival is a member of the Fighters Guild. He can often be found practicing just outside the walls of Windhelm, where he's managed to set up kind of a makeshift practice dummy. The rest of the time, he's often with the Fighters Guild or otherwise goes out on hunts for the Fighters Guild. Which leaves Argon the Scribe. Bob, I just saw your texts. As far as whichever name isn't being looked at, all 3 of them are being looked at. So is your mic not working?
Oh, she muted herself.
Yeah. Ah. Then in that case, I shall set up the text so that our viewers can see it.
They can see your text now.
There we go. Now they should be able to see. So anyway, as far as the scribe, the scribe is actually a member of the Mages Guild here in Windhelm. And though not a full-fledged mage himself, he does often go out on various archaeological digs and such for the Mages Guild in order to take down and record what they discover. As far aside, with the exception of Dromir the Innocent, you're not sure if any of these guys have really done anything wrong. And try as you might, there's no information on anything that they could have done wrong.
Alright.
All you know...
All to die in the open?
They're all to die in the open.
Okay. Are we to be seen or no?
It is up to you as...
They die in the open.
It's required that they die publicly. And it is up to you as to how they die. But it does need to be public so that basically the Dark Brotherhood sends a message to the people of Windhelm.
Okay.
Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy.
So for Windhelm, you said for the elf rival guy, you said he practiced outside of like Windhelm, right?
Yeah, just outside of Windhelm, where he set up a makeshift practice dummy.
Okay, but he got like a bunch of people around him, right?
Only sometimes, if he decides to bring some of his companions with him.
Okay. Alright.
So, who would we like to murder first?
Oh, we have to murder them all?
Yep. 3 contracts.
All of us? Like together?
That's up to you guys.
Oh, I thought we were just picking between them. Let's alphabetical order.
Alphabetical order.
Yeah.
Okay, Zyra has a good idea. We could goad him into fighting her. I can poison her blade, and she can accidentally cut him, quote unquote, and he'll die from the poison. While people watch, it'll be an accident. Whoops.
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 I mean, elf rival seemed like a bit of a good deal, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all good deals.
They're all good deals.
They're all good. They're all good deals. You know, elf rival can be a little bit easier because, you know, it's less likely for us to be caught.
That's true. It's true. Now, where does Elf Rival live?
Elf Rival is the member of the Fighters Guild. He's the one who goes out and practices.
Got it. So we'll goad him into practicing with us, with his friends watching. We'll poison the weapon, and then we'll go, oh no, I tripped. Oh, my dagger went into your eye. How could this happen?
Oh, no, not again.
Ooh,
Again, good God.
Jeez, it's like the 5th time it's happened to you.
Okay, so aside from random cat noises, I should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not hard for Zero to goad somebody into fighting her. I mean, like, You'll pick an offense. It's fine.
Okay, so I'm guessing we all have.
A child.
However, the fact is the only person who quite obviously stands out as someone that she'd be willing to go for is the thief, because he's at least committed actual crimes that she's aware of. She's not entirely keen on killing people who don't deserve it. But like I said, if you goad the fighter into fighting her, she will defend herself as she always does, and he will probably not survive it. So.
Okay. So it sounds like the first on our list is either going to be Elf Rival or Dramir.
Well, I'm voting Elf Rival.
I'm voting Dromir because alphabetical order. I stand by that. Gotta stay organized.
Well, for Dramir, I could just have a big stack of gold on my belt, and I could go, oh boy, I love being a wealthy merchant.
Wink, wink.
Stab him in the face when he tries to steal your stuff?
Yeah, then I just stab him to death, because fuck.
What
Yeah.
the shit was that?
I live next to a train, so yeah. So that's gonna happen occasionally. Shut up!
Achanti, the speaker pulls you off to the side. He says, I have one other important I have one other condition that I need you to fulfill.
Yes.
I want you to be present at all 3 murders. Make sure that they stand true to their agreement.
Oh, don't worry.
Are you gonna be our supervisor?
Listen, they're rookies. In fact, I'd go as far to say that they're scrubs.
We're not your crew.
They ate a body and then they tried to bury it in.
I did not eat a body.
Excuse you.
Hey.
Can I please just hit you with my staff?
Only my guiding, scaly claw hand will be able to guide them to victory.
I'm counting on it, Achanti. Don't fail us.
And I hiss him. But a good hiss. A friendly hiss.
I don't know if you're really low personality. Is it a friendly hiss?
Yes, it's a friendly hiss. It's hard to tell with my 4 personality, and I know.
That is borderline depressed.
Yeah.
Like, if your personality is that low, you must suffer a lot.
I find happiness in other things, like killing people who don't like me. That's it.
And since you suck at making friends, you must do a lot of killing.
Hey, you actually.
Oh, yeah, I am.
Kind of how I got the job.
Well, that and being born.
Yeah, other things.
That and being born.
And being born. Literally being born.
So...
Calm down, Edgelord.
So all that's left is for you guys to decide between the 2 initial ones that you want to kill. So it sounds like regardless, the scribe is last on the list.
Yeah, scribe.
Yeah, like Scribe will save you for another time.
Yeah, we seem to be murdering the scribe last, which, whatever.
Okay, well, like I said, I vote for Elf Rival.
So do I.
Sure, let's do that.
Sure.
Okay. So you guys head back up into the city. As is usual for Windhelm, it's cold. It seems like it's perpetually snowing. And all throughout the city, you hear loud, boisterous Nords either trying to sell their wares or trying to, various Nord things. I mean, you guys are all familiar enough with Skyrim and with Nord culture.
They're Vikings.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ale, weapons, fighting ale,
Horkers.
more ale.
Horkers. Can't forget about the Horkers. So eventually you guys manage to find the Fighters Guild, which is in the southwestern portion of the city. It's a large building. It's less of a guild-looking building so much as a giant, like, hall where people are eating, drinking, and practicing their combat or trading stories of various foes and monsters that they've fought. And I'd like all of you guys to do a perception check as you look for elf rival.
Alright. Perception.
20.
No, I'm not going to give you a number. That was embarrassing.
5. High 5.
I just need to know if you guys get above a 10.
18. I got an 18.
I got to 20.
So if you got above a 10, you are able to find him. It's fairly obvious who he is, because he is standing very proudly at a table, sharing stories of his battles against Dominion soldiers, and kind of worn around his neck, you see just this string of dried elf ears. So you can see where he got the name. And so after a while, his partying dies down, and he tells everyone that he'll be back tonight. He's going to go out and practice. After all, his sword thirsts for some action. So as he comes, as he comes toward the entrance of the hall, he comes up towards you guys as if trying to get through the door. Pardon me. You must be new warriors. Welcome to the guild. And tries to push past you out into the cold.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'll just let someone bigger than me push me. That's fine. I'm just like a little fly. Swat me away.
So, question, like the practice area, is that just him whacking his swords against some sort of, like, dummy stick?
You're not sure. You'd have to follow him to his practice area to find out.
But he announced loudly that he was gonna go practice because his sword thirsts for some action.
Yes.
Okay, I go follow him.
Okay.
I don't think we should all follow him because that would be really suspicious.
That'd be awesome.
I could.
Go ahead.
I was like about to say I could follow him because I actually have a really good stealth. So, I don't know.
Oh, Zira is not stealthing. She is just straight up following him.
I go, Zira, did you just call this man a coward?
I turn and I look at you with that look of you motherfucker have ruined everything.
Thurman, if
What tool, you say?
Thurman, if you haven't gotten a luck point yet, you do now. He Elf Rival stops in his tracks, turns slowly, and stares at the Argonian. Who's challenging me to a duel?
Did you all hear that? Zira, my Red Guard friend, has challenged this cowardly warrior.
I have cat ears and I heard it.
I'll fight him.
I just give them all this look of you motherfuckers.
I said I'll fight him.
He kind of swells up a bit. Who is this Zira? I demand to fight her in combat.
That would be me.
Laughing horribly. Just uncontrolled laughter. Yes, a green-skinned red guard.
He stops, kind of stares at you, Chulinak.
I have red guard.
He stares at you, Chulinak, and just goes, Don't insult my honor, orc.
now, so you want to try and get it back with a battle?
He draws his blade. He's like, let's make this quick. Go ahead and roll initiative for me, please.
Do we all have to roll initiative?
Just those who are involved in the combat.
I may or may not join later, so I'm going to roll initiative.
Yeah, I'll roll initiative now.
I'm gonna get a crowd going here. Hold on.
Wait, are we all rolling initiative now?
Yeah, but we're not all. Most of us aren't going to be fighting
I
immediately.
am waiting to see how much of your ass gets kicked before I have to step in.
Oh, please. I am the dirty
might
dancer.
sneak up
I will
behind
not
him
get
and
my...
stab him with the old disappearing knife trick. Where'd it go? Oh, it's in your face.
I got 13.
18. Or 17.
Let's I'll type it in just so we can organize it.
Oh yeah, probably. Not a bad idea.
This is sad. My pen's running out of ink. Hashtar got a 17.
Don't
Um,
your initiative bar.
I have my cloak on, mostly because it's fucking cold. So you can't even tell which is the red guard in the group unless you just go by like pure assumption that the one person who you can't see their skin.
What was your initiatives for Ashanti and Zoe?
Let's roll. See,
14.
I'm sorry. No, it's this. And then she got a 14.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Of course, the guy who talks shit goes last. I see how this is.
Oh, good God.
I gotta get people to watch this. It's gonna be dope.
Okay. So, the first person to go, the first person in the initiative order is Zira.
Okay, so this asshole has convinced this other asshole that his Redguard friend has insulted him, and now the orc, very clearly an orc, steps up saying that they are
Half
Zira.
orc, you know, I could be a half orc,
Redguard, cough, and is going to fight them. And this guy is like, "All right, let's fucking fight." And Zira's just kind of laughing because she can't believe that Julinak decided to step forward and claim being the Red Guard.
Well, Julinak is smart, but he's not very charismatic. He's not good at fast thinking. He's not good at fast thinking.
Laughing a little bit until you actually step forward and a fight looks like it's going to happen. But underneath her cloak, her hands are resting at her swords.
Mm-hmm.
She is prepared to intervene in this should it look like you are not being successful. So she will wait.
Okay.
Okay.
Next up would be Tashdar.
So how many people are around? There's
I mean, anytime that there is a crowd definitely forming, especially since this is right at the entrance of the Fighters Guild. So this is the kind of stuff that they just love to watch. And luckily enough for you guys, those of you who know about Nord culture, a fight of honor, especially in a public space like this, perfectly legal. Especially while it's still on Fighters Guild property.
Oh, shit. But murder is not legal, unless it's probably accidental.
Hey, Kitty, stop it.
I'm going to hide within the crowd.
Okay.
But in the back of the crowd.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then after Tashdar, we have Zoe.
That's me.
That sure is.
I'm just want to watch. I'm not going to intervene or anything. I'm
Mhm.
just watching.
Okay. Next up, we have Ashanti.
I'm gonna. Have they like gone like into a combat with one another?
They haven't.
Weapons yet?
The Nord has drawn his weapon and shield.
Okay.
And he's.
I'm gonna go ahead and walk up to the orc who's gonna fight. I'm gonna put like a little bit of poison on my dagger. I'm gonna slide a hand it in their pocket.
Okay, go ahead and.
I can't. No, you guys like try to sneakily kill him. Like, say you're defending me, and next thing you know, like, he dropped
Hey.
down.
Okay.
Hey, it's always good to have a backup plan.
Ashanti, go ahead and make a sleight of check or a sleight of hand check at disadvantage, please.
Okay, I'm gonna slide a hand. With disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
Okay, let me just look this up.
So everybody's watching you, and
Fluffy asshole.
It's gonna be 14 with disadvantage.
okay. So Julianak, you feel a slight weight in your pocket that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
I whisper in your ear, "Good luck, sugar mom."
Oh my god, I hate you guys so much.
Someone who volunteered for this.
Oh, you guys are supposed to help me out.
So then the Nord raises his sword and lets out a loud roar. Please make a willpower please make a willpower saving throw for me.
Willpower saving throw? Where is my dice? There it is.
All of us or just Julianak?
Just Julianak.
Okay. Ooh, what's this guy doing?
I got 15.
A 15? Okay. So let me double check on the math again. Okay, so he lets out a loud battle cry, and then charges forward at you with his sword raised,
Okay.
and bashes at you with his shield. So
Oh, shit.
how's
Like,
13,
with my shield.
13, 13 versus your armor class?
Already? I got 14.
14? Okay, so he charges forward trying to bash you with the with his shield, and you're able to step just out of the way of him. And he almost stumbles into the crowd, but manages to catch his weight again. Next up is Zira. Bob, your mic is muted.
So things seem to be going all right so far. So she will wait.
Okay.
Come on, you guys, help me out, please.
Toshstar.
This wasn't my suggestion. It was Trapstar that got us into this situation in the first place.
Zero's original plan was to follow this guy to the training ground, and then if he was fighting like a test dummy, to then insult him for saying, "How can you quench your blade's thirst when there is no blood to be spilled?" But nah, somebody, cough lizard, had to start shit in the opening of the door,
and then you volunteered.
Yeah, and then Orc Daddy volunteered. So Zira is going to wait and see, because also she's trying to test like how good of a fighter you are, because she has yet to actually see you perform in combat.
I am called the Dirty Dancer. I can do combat pretty alright.
Dirty dancing is not something she would associate with combat.
So, Toshstar, you're next in the turn order.
Well then. It's again still not. It's going okay. So I'm just gonna still just watch and wait for a moment.
Alrighty.
If there needs to be one.
Yeah. Zoe?
Hey, it's me. You know, the cat that's just watching. That's what I'm doing.
All right.
Oh my god, you guys, just help me out.
Ashanti?
Again, you're the one who volunteered.
Ajanti?
I volunteered so we can create distraction so you guys can actually go at him with me.
Ashanti?
Well, that's not very honorable of a fight. Hey, taking bets. 10 gold on the orc.
Oh my god. I hate you all so much right now.
Gold immediately starts being exchanged. Like, people are already, like, placing bets.
Can I just be on your shoulders
And
so I can
then-
see the fight?
Yeah, that's what I do with my turn. Who's next?
Next up would be the Nord. So, actually, no. Next up would be Julinak.
Okay, well, since he missed me, I am gonna hit him in the my staff.
In the back?
Yeah, because like he went past me, so I'm assuming like I'm like now.
Yeah. Go ahead and make an attack roll.
Alright, where's my dice? So, 13.
13.
Mm-hmm.
13 does it does not hit. Like, it does hit, but it doesn't really do any damage.
Okay, but as long as
But it does throw off his balance again. He just managed to catch his balance from that rush, but you just threw it off again.
okay.
So he's going to swing back around with his sword. And he is going to try to hit you for 17 versus your armor class.
That will hit, yeah.
That will hit? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That does a grand number of 2 piercing damage.
Okay. Let's see. Alright.
As he swings and like he cuts across your face, so now you've got like this cut on your cheek.
Oh, great.
And he even turns around because now it's becoming a show for the Fighters Guild, and he just yells loudly, "First blood for the Nord!" And then turns around to continue fighting you. Turn order comes back around to Zira.
Okay. She'll move a little closer, like not into like the ring, so to speak, but making sure that she can keep a tactful distance from the Nord in
Mhm.
order to be able to join in if needed with best advantage.
Okay. Next up would be Tashtar.
I'm going to start moving to the front of the crowd.
Okay. You have no problem with that. And like,
Might be a bit of pushing and shoving because it's a crowd.
yeah. And after he had yelled about drawing first blood, like, even more bets are being made. And like the pot is growing. Next up would be Zoe.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty committed to just watching.
Okay.
I'm not sure what I can do without planning. This was all very sudden.
Yeah.
We didn't go over the plan at all, and that's why we're in this mess.
Chillanak, it's your turn.
Okay, let's see here.
Excuse me. Oh no, Julinak, I'm sorry. You're right.
Okay, let's see. Let me look through this.
Hit him with a chair.
Okay, hold
Got a lot of money
on. Hold on, let me think.
In the crowd, you hear an orc shout, "Bring glory to Malakath!"
Oh man. I'm gonna do a stunning attack, and I will spend 1 stamina point on that.
Okay.
And the guy must survive in endurance, must succeed on endurance, and I don't know how it works actually.
Okay, so go ahead and pull up that power so that you can find the save DC for that, and then I can roll his endurance check.
Yeah. Alright, let's see.
I can tell you already, he probably does not succeed.
He probably did not succeed?
Yeah.
Alright. Come on, open. Yeah. It's still like pulling up right now, so yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that did not work for it.
I'm gonna pull it up myself.
Yeah. Okay.
Most monk abilities and save DCs are 8 plus your relevant stat plus proficiency, I think.
Yes.
Wait, what?
Yes. So I think it's going to be 8 plus your wisdom plus your proficiency.
8 plus my wisdom?
Plus
You mean my willpower?
Willpower, yeah.
willpower, yes.
Okay.
I would assume.
So 8.
I assume
that's
that's what
12.
monks' main stat is their willpower for like their abilities.
Yeah,
I believe
it is,
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up the monk right now, so that if there's any additional effect, we can catch it.
Okay, yeah.
There's the monk. Let's see here.
I'm the monk.
What is your willpower modifier?
My willpower modifier is
You can spend 1 stamina point to attempt a stunning strike. The endurance must succeed, or the target must succeed on an endurance saving throw, or be stunned until the end of your next turn. So yeah, you managed to so go ahead and make an attack roll as well.
okay, yeah. What did I modify for that? My willpower?
This would be a combat attack.
Okay, but okay, so but as attack bonus, you know?
Yeah, your staff.
Alright. $17.
17? Okay.
Mhm.
So that will hit.
Yay.
So go ahead and roll some damage for me.
Okay, what did I roll damage for that? For like hand to hand? Or wherever I'm doing. Is
It's
it
your
like
staff, right?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. I thought I don't know. I thought it was different.
No. All the stunning attack does is gives you the effect of stunning him when you hit. So.
Okay. 4.
4 damage?
Yeah, 4 damage.
Okay. So, you manage to twirl your staff a little bit, and he's trying to track it so that he can predict where you're going to strike next. But you end up smacking him upside the head, and he staggers a bit, dizzy as the staff had managed to smack him upside the head.
Oh yeah.
Next up in the order would be Ajanti.
Now that I'm collecting bets, what else should I do? Hey, who threw that punch at me? I'll punch you back. I'm gonna try and start a fight in this crowd.
Okay.
Let's start a full-blown riot at this rate.
I'm gonna start a mob or a mosh pit, pretty much. Yeah.
I started
Alright.
this fight. Now to start my own fight.
Go ahead and roll either a performance or a. I'll give you performance or deception.
I will try a deception roll. Try. Go. Hey, not bad. 16.
So someone else in the crowd just like, hey, who's sitting there throwing punches at the Argonian? He's got my bet money, and just swings a punch at the next person he thinks might have done it.
Oh, good God.
And so,
We're starting a riot.
and
We're
so,
actually starting a riot.
so yes, fights are starting to break out in the crowd.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, now while they're distracted, someone kill him quickly.
Next up is the Nord, but he's still trying to get his bearing, which takes us back to Zira.
So there's a fight starting over in the corner with the Argonian at the cause of that. And
He was the cause of the first fight too.
yeah, I know. But currently the fight between Jilinak and the Nord is considered honorable because they're fighting and it's on grounds.
Yes.
She doesn't necessarily want to like kill the dude while there are still enough people paying attention to the fight,
Mm-hmm.
and would call her out on that being dishonorable because that's how you get arrested.
Okay, so are you holding your turn then?
More distractions.
You know what else gets arrested? Murder.
Well, when you get a serious injury that she deems, that she now needs to step in, and then she'll step in. But so far, you seem to be able to handle this shit, so...
Oh,
she'll
come
let you
on.
handle it.
But you can sneak attack him. You can sneak, like, right behind
I don't have fucking sneak attack. I am a straight-up warrior. No roguing here.
I also do not have sneak attack. I could sneakily attack him though.
Okay,
Tosh.
good.
Toshtar is next.
I'm gonna say that there's still plenty of people focusing on the fight, and now people are starting to focus on the other fight as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to like kneel down, sort of, because I'm in the front, so like people can't really see me, the people behind me, instead of because they'll be paying attention to one of the fights.
Mm-hmm.
And that is all.
You feel someone smack you upside the head. Filthy Khajiit trying to steal our money in this crowd? How dare you!
Is it still my turn, or is it gonna switch turns?
I'll say it's still your turn.
What to do? Am I gonna do anything about this? I'm not gonna do anything about it now.
Okay. Next up would be Zoe. Zoe.
Someone's shouting that someone's punching a Khajiit because they think they're stealing the money, and I realize I should be stealing people's money right now.
We can make more money after we finish this contract.
Hey, but this is even more money.
There are people with their money out, and with punches being thrown, it just means their money is vulnerable and ripe for the snatching.
If you would like to...
For the protecting, you gotta protect that money. I mean, it's so vulnerable.
Yeah.
A safe home. I'd let no one touch it but me.
If you'd like to try to steal some money, go ahead and do a sleight of hand check with advantage.
I really do. That's what I desire. Alright. Just bring my stats up. How about a 21?
Damn.
So a nearby Nord is currently distracted by the fight, kind of cheering and whatnot. And hanging from his belt is a very, very beautiful dagger. You're not sure it's meant for anything overly practical. However, the gems in its pommel and in its hilt could probably fetch some decent coin, and you're able to very lightly slide it out of its scabbard without him noticing.
Nice. May not be a dog, but I'm a fetch it.
Next up is Julinak. Your opponent currently is dazed and kind of listing a little bit to his side.
Listing okay. I will swing at his feet and knock him down.
Alrighty, go ahead and make an attack roll.
Oh, nat 20.
Very nice. You swing your quarterstaff down below his feet, and manage to you sweep him off his feet. And he falls down, unable to, and in his daze is unable to catch himself. And even in the bustling crowd, you can hear the wet crunch as his head hits the pavement. And blood begins to pool around his head.
Okay.
So
Stab him with the dagger.
Well, I actually can do an extra attack, but are people...
Stab him with the dagger while he's on the ground, damn it.
You stab him, alright? You stab him. I mean,
You're the one in the fight.
Just pretend you're helping him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend I'm helping him.
Oh my god,
You should
why
stab
are you
him
guys
while
like
he's
this? But someone's gonna see me. You guys are gonna throw me in jail.
No, you're in a combat with him. You have every right to stab him while he is down.
yeah, you're in honorable combat, and with the Fighters Guild, it's honorable combat to the death. So.
Yep. So you can just straight up stab him while he is down and bleeding out, but you need to do it quickly.
Alright, fine. I'll stab him.
Are you stabbing him with the? Are you stabbing him with the blade that you've been given?
Yeah.
You thrust the sword into his chest, and you can see almost like this faint mist get pulled from his body into the hilt of the sword, or not the sword, into the hilt of the dagger, and you get almost like this sense that the dagger has been satisfied.
Great.
And now all you guys have to do is extricate yourselves from the brawl.
Okay.
Yep, I just move away.
Yeah.
I will go into the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy enough for Zira to slip out. Julinak, having won the combat, people are kind of shoving coin into your hands because they enjoyed the combat, and by the time you manage to get out of the crowd, you are a good 90 septums richer.
Ooh, yeah.
Way to go, work daddy. Now you can provide.
Now you guys, no money for you guys because you guys didn't do jack shit.
You're the one that volunteered.
You're the one that should have helped me. You're the one who even got me into this situation in the first place.
So
This specific situation.
No, this entire situation is all of trash cans.
I resent that nickname, but I will accept it.
the rest of you are able to.
Babylon's looking toilet.
The rest of you are able to get out of the crowd. Ashanti, you had placed bets.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna make a big show of it with my 4 personality. Oh, it looks like the orc won after. I guess he was the coward.
So you managed to slip out of the crowd with 340 septums in winnings. Because most people had hedged their bets on Elf Rival. So very nice. So Elf Rival is now off the list. That just leaves Dromir the Innocent, who, as it happens, as you guys are trying to pull yourselves out of the crowd, you find him slinking among the fray, snatching at people's coin purses.
Is he close to me?
Yes, he is.
Close enough for me to stab him?
You'd still have to move toward him a bit.
Okay, I move towards him, and I can see that he's drawing coin. Are any of my companions close to me?
He's in the crowd. You had ducked back into the crowd. It just depends on if anybody else is still in the crowd or not.
I'm still in the crowd.
I'm still in the crowd.
I go up to him, and I move up to him, and I want to.
Also, I want to point out throughout the whole time when we were fighting, so and
I want to kind of trip him up and be like, "Hey, you thief!
There you go.
That's my coin." And I'm gonna start a fight with this asshole.
All right, we'll keep the same initiative track. So, yeah, go ahead and make your attack then.
Okay. Nat 20.
Very nice. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Okay. That would be 16.
Tell me how you kill him.
Okay, so I take one of my normal blades and the dagger is in my offhand.
Mm-hmm.
And I slash at his legs, like the back of his legs, to drop him down.
Mm-hmm.
Because I assume I came up behind him.
Yep.
And once he's on his knees, I take the dagger and put it between the crook of his neck and his shoulder.
gnarly.
As with the Nord, you can see the essence of his soul being absorbed into the blade, and it feels sated.
All right.
2 contracts down.
Oh, and I take whatever gold he had on him.
You managed to get 20 septims off of him.
Sweet.
Not much of a good thief, huh?
No.
No. Why didn't he
That's
go for the
okay.
guy who was taking the bets?
So you guys managed to get yourselves out of the crowd. Toshtar, did you want to try thieving a little bit, or are you good?
No.
Okay. So you guys...
Murder people and eat them, not steal their stuff.
He has standards.
Stealing stuff is like on the list there.
So you guys managed to slip out of the crowd just as some of the Jarl's guards come up and try to break up the brawl. And as the crowd is broken up and everything and people start calming down, it turns out the only 2 who died were the Nord and the thief. Plenty of other people have cuts and bruises and stuff like that, but only those 2 died. So, that leaves you with one last contract, the Scribe. Whom you know is likely at the Mages Guild in town. The Mages Guild is in the center of the city. A tall tower built of hardy stone. Legend has it that Ace Grimor himself had built this city. So the stone is very good stonework, and it's all topped with a lovely, beautiful wooden roof in Nord style. And upon entering the Mages Guild, you find that there are plenty of mages kind of wandering about, doing their thing. But you don't seem to find the scribe there. At least nobody who matches his description. However, if you'd like, you can ask for him.
Well, go on.
All right.
I'll ask for him.
Okay.
Boy, that's the spirit.
Stepping up.
You see a
It
mage.
is his turn.
Yeah. Oh, we're out of combat at the moment.
No, I meant it's his turn. Seeing as Jelinek and I
Fair enough. Um,
And yes, I did.
And
get
it's
you
his
into
fault we're in this situation anyways.
Yeah.
into this whole situation. The individual things with what happens within the situation is not necessarily my fault.
Yes, it is. Stop
Because of
denying
you.
your responsibility for this.
No, I'm not.
So standing
This is an
near
argument of semantics.
an enchanting table is a mage who looks like he might be prominent enough in this guild to know where some of the members may, at the very least, be.
Okay.
So you approach him.
Didn't think this far ahead.
like usual.
Okay. So, is there like a ton of people here?
A decent amount. Most of them are studying or working on magic, or even creating new magical spells. Some of them are at various enchanting tables. There is an alchemy table in there as well, so you see one mage kind of working on various elixirs.
Okay. I ask him, "Hey, do you want to see a magic trick?"
And stab him.
He
Stab him.
turns and glares at you. Don't mock me. He's a fairly tall dark elf mage who's kind of staring you down with his blood red eyes.
Okay.
What is it that you want? I haven't got all day.
It's a magic trick. Come here. I'll whisper it to your ear.
He continues glowering
This
at you.
isn't the guy we're trying to kill. This is a dude who you're supposed to ask questions from.
I thought that's who it was.
Let's clarify the shit before you start killing mages.
I must have. Josh must have cut out when he said that because I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
This guy just looks like somebody who would know what's up.
Okay. So I'll just ask him where he is.
You must be speaking. You must be speaking of. You must be speaking of Argane. Last I heard, he was. Off in his room to rest or study. I usually don't ask what they do in their private quarters.
Is
Yeah, you stand in their private quarters.
What was that, Duncan?
Is he open to visitors?
You'll have to see for yourself.
All right.
And he gives you directions to the one of the top stories of the tower where various rooms are, and to where his room is.
I thank him and we'll go on our way.
So, all right. So, I'm guessing you guys all head up to where his quarters might be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not hanging up. I'm just gonna chill out.
Okay.
I'll go with him.
All right. Ajanti, I'm guessing you're going since you're pretty much required to be there.
I guess. But I'm gonna sneak into the corner real quick, and I'm gonna turn invisible.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's my plan.
just go with me on it. I turn invisible
Okay.
with my it's my daily power, the shadow.
I also have the shadow, so this is going to be awkward.
Yes, it will.
Because my plan also involved using that ability to turn invisible.
Sierra, do you head up with them as well?
Is everybody heading up at this point? Like,
No, like as far as you know, it's just me.
I'm not hanging up.
Yeah, it's our turn.
Yeah, it's your guys' freaking turn.
yeah. In that case, I'm going to. So the guy's room is in the mage's tower?
Yes.
Did they say what floor?
Second floor.
Okay. I'm going to go outside.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of keep my eye out on like second floor windows.
Mm-hmm.
In case I see, somebody jumping through one to run away. Cough. Assassins, cough.
I'd like you to do a perception check for me.
That will be a 16.
So you're peering through some of these windows, even as the others are headed upstairs. And
Glancing. Well, I can't peer through second-story windows. I'm 4'7".
You're doing the best you can.
I'm probably walking a slight distance away from
You're doing your
but I
best.
can look up.
Yes. And as you're looking through these windows at a distance, you do manage to find the window that, from the directions the mage had given you, would most likely be the scribe's room.
Okay.
And
Is his window open?
His window is open.
How
And
high off the ground is it? And are there any trees nearby?
There aren't any trees nearby. And as far they're high vaulted rooms, so it's a good maybe, I want to say, almost 30, 40 feet up.
Okay, so I cannot hardcore parkour myself up there.
No, not really.
You can Assassin's Creed your way up there.
But it's what you see through the window that makes your heart stop.
Okay. What do I see?
You see what appears to be a statue of Molag Bal.
Ooh, this guy's in some shit.
He did some freaky shit.
And the only time you've seen this statue before, well, let's just say that shortly afterward, your companions were gone.
Yeah.
I'm going to get up to Tashtar and just kind of try to whisper in his very tall ears that, once we're done, we're going to go out a window. Okay?
Oh, okay. Sure. Why not?
Yeah, trust me.
Do I see any way that I could get up and into that window?
Go ahead and do a perception check for me. Another perception check.
Okay. That'll be a 21.
You think you might be able to scale the wall, but not very quickly. And not very stealthily either.
Okay. I'll wait then.
Okay. So Tashtar, you get up to the room and you find that the door is locked. But it does sound like something's going on in there, because when you press your ear up against the door, you can hear what sounds to be almost like chanting.
Okay.
So wait, you said it's locked?
Yes.
Is the guy gone who led us up there?
Yes.
Alright, I'm just gonna knock the door open then.
Like physically or magically?
Magically.
Okay. Tell me how that effect works.
Let me bring up the spell.
Oh, Josh, about how long would it take me to scale the wall up to that guy's room? And by not stealthy, you just mean that people outside will be able to see. But would I be able to do it quietly?
I mean, quietly is not as much of an issue.
Okay.
As far as how long it would take you to scale up the good 40 feet, maybe 5 or 6 minutes, just because it's a stone wall.
Okay, because I am proficient in athletics and acrobatics.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna copy paste this into the text box.
Okay.
A box of attacks.
Okay. It can be a door, box, chest. Okay, so you cast the spell,
Yes.
and you don't hear any physical locks become undone.
But do I know it came undone like my spell worked?
You do sense that your spell was successful, so he must have had multiple locks on this door, one of which being magical.
So which one
Um,
is mine?
the magical one, and you hear a loud knock on the door.
Like they knocked on it, or
No, it's what your spell did.
oh, okay.
The chanting inside stops.
All right.
The door is still mundanely locked.
Door, since I can't just magic it open.
You're knocking on the door?
Yeah, since I need someone to open it.
From inside you hear, "Go away, I'm not accepting visitors right now."
They feel like no.
I'm not a visitor, I'm an intern. I was supposed to be over here and learn about your thing, but I was late.
What thing? I'm just a scribe. Go away.
No, I hear you're doing the ceremony in there. I'm really I'm late. I'm supposed to be learning.
You must be hearing things. Go away.
Alright.
Can I hear the shouting now?
Yes, you can.
Does it sound like they're not doing so great?
You just hear him yelling something about go away.
How strong does the door
Is
look?
Julinak with me?
No, I'm downstairs. I'm not joining you guys on this one.
No, I'm outside. That's why I wanted to know if you had followed me outside.
How
You-
strong does the door look?
Oh no, well I'm probably not even in there. I'm probably like going to, or I'm out and wait for you guys.
It's a sturdy wooden door, like fairly sturdy.
Well, I know Tashdar can undo locks. Can he try to undo the other lock? Any ones that connect on our side? Because I don't know how many locks they have.
That depends.
They got all the
Can
locks.
can Tashtar?
Let's find out. That would be agility, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
With your thieves' tools and or claws.
So that would be an 18.
As Zoe and the scribe are yelling back and forth to one another, you slip a lockpick into the door and fiddle around with it a bit, and eventually you hear the telltale click, and you know the door is unlocked.
Can we open it?
Can you?
I'm going to try to open it. You tell me.
You open the door, and in front of you is a large statue of Molag Bal. In front of it is an altar space with somebody tied up to it with a panicked expression in their eyes. They're bound and gagged, and in the hands of Argrim is a jeweled ceremonial blade.
I see.
Roll initiative, please.
Hey, what's he wearing?
He's wearing robes.
Okay.
They look very ceremonial in nature.
Wonderful.
23.
My initiative is 12.
Okay.
Dang, Tashdar.
I'm gonna roll just in case I have to start rapidly climbing that fucking wall.
Mm-hmm.
That puts me at a 24.
Okay. Chulinak? Or not Chulinak, Ashanti? Initiative?
It's your turn.
Oh, is it my turn?
No, it's initiative.
Oh, initiative. Oh,
Yeah,
let me roll.
so we can figure out.
Okay. 19.
Nice rolls. Okay.
Nice roll.
Damn.
Well, I do get +4 to my initiative, so that helps.
I get +5, so that would explain a lot.
I also have a +5.
Oh, great.
Okay. So, Zira, you're first in the turn order.
Are there a lot of people outside?
No more than you would expect in a busy city.
I'm trying to decide like how odd it would be for me to start climbing this fucking wall and how much attention that would draw.
You think you might be able to get up there without being noticed too much, because the snow's kind of coming down in a bit of a flurry. So.
Okay. All right, I'll start climbing.
Okay. Your hands do feel a little numb because of the cold. You're not used to it being this cold here.
Use the daggers to make little wedged anchors.
Okay.
To help me climb like pegboard style.
Okay. So numb hands.
In the stone.
Numb hands with daggers, just right into the grout, working your way up. Go ahead and make an athletics check for me, please.
All right. That would be a 20.
Okay. You're able to get up the first 10 feet with no hassle.
Okay.
Next up would be Tash.
Yes. Well, gonna do what we came here for. I'm gonna go up to him and stab.
Okay.
Going
we
to
need to kill him in public.
dagger.
You gotta kill them in public, guys.
Is it really not public enough? We have a witness.
I don't know if that's good enough.
Throw his ass out the window.
I was gonna say maybe we could just throw his ass out the window.
Defenestration is a beautiful thing.
Defenestration is a beautiful thing.
Okay. Then I will attempt to push him out the window then.
Okay. Go ahead and make a strength check for me, please.
Okay. Strength sucks. 10.
He sees you running toward him, and he braces himself and pushes back as you're trying to push. So you're not able to get him toward the window all that much.
Okay.
How big is this room?
A decent sized room. I mean, enough to fit a shrine to Molag Bal.
How much feet away is this guy from the window?
From the window, I'd say maybe 15.
Okay. So I'm going to get myself close to the window.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, it's my turn.
It's actually a Jaunty's turn.
All right, I gotta be patient.
I'm gonna go ahead and take my lock-picking tools while still invisible and unchain the poor victim.
Okay. Go ahead and do a sleight of hand or an agility check for me.
For me, it would be sleight of hand.
Wow, you're thinking about someone else for a change.
Yes. We can run out of here and tell people, help, there's a horrible autist in here. Just to murder the shit out of him.
Oh, we could then. Oh, the people could be there. We could murder him, and then there'll be enough people. That'll be public.
Yes, there we are. I got an 18.
You managed to undo her shackles.
Nice. And I'm gonna whisper in her ear, run and tell as many people as you can.
A terrified face. She nods in your general direction and tries to scramble out of the room. Next up is the scribe. He swings his blade at you, Tosh. With an 11 versus your armor class.
17.
He's kind of caught off guard a little bit and doesn't manage to make any connection with his blade. Next up is Zoe.
It's me, the one who was impatient. Alright, so I'm gonna get up to the window, and then I'm gonna try to use lightning lure on him.
Nice. Go ahead and cast it.
All right. He needs to make a strength save.
Okay. 12.
All right. So I assume the save is based off my spell save DC.
Yep.
Which is luckily for me is 14. So he's going to be pulled in a 10-feet line to me, so getting closer to the window. And he's going to take 1d8 of damage.
Okay, go ahead and roll your lightning damage.
Lightning damage. Lightning. A 1. Is verbal. I'm going
it's like gave him like a little shot, like
standing up on end, but he's moved 10 feet.
So Tash, right as he's about to swing his blade at you, you see electricity just arc across the room, and he gets pulled back toward the window. Next up is Zira. Up above you, you can hear the distinct sound of a knocking door, and then the sound of electricity, like the sound of lightning.
Yep. Sounds like sounds like my compatriots are beginning their assault.
Yep.
I continue to climb.
Okay. Make your check.
20.
Nat 20. You're actually able to get up 20 feet this time, with no issue.
Could I? So I only have 10 feet left.
Mm-hmm.
Could I? Action surge to get further?
I'll allow it.
Okay. That would be a 22.
You get up through the window, and 5 feet away from you is whom you assume to be the scribe, wearing black robes, decorated with Daedric runes. The room has a large altar to Molag Bal, and you can see a woman getting up off of the altar and trying to run out of the room.
I'm going to stay perched low in the window and get ready to effectively pounce this guy.
Okay. Next up is Tash.
I'm going to try to push him the remaining feet to the window.
Okay. Strength check.
All right.
I'll give you advantage if you're using his distance to get like a running start, so that you can like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Roll with advantage. 15.
Very nice. He actually matches. So I'm going to say that you're able to stumble him, like get him to stagger backward, right into Zira. Next up would be Ajanti.
I say now watch.
Okay.
What do you guys do? Let's see it.
I'm supervising.
I'm supervising. Work harder.
guys, you're both supervising.
More electricity. No one here is getting commission.
The cultist failed his dexterity save, so he ends up falling down at Zira's feet, which takes us to Zoe's turn.
So is the window open?
The window is open, and now there's a Zira in the window.
And she looks pissed.
How did you get here?
She looks really angry as she's staring down at this man.
Now I can't push him out the window like I wanted. You're in the way.
Well, he's on the ground anyway, so I don't think you could have pushed him out the window since he's on the floor.
Hey, I would have thrown him out the window.
Like you could like swing him out there, like.
No, I wanted to thunderwave him, but if I do, I'll thunderwave her out the window. Alright. So now I gotta pick a new plan. What I got? I guess. Well, I don't want to kill him yet. So I guess I'll use shocking grass.
Okay.
Good enough. I gotta bring that up so I know what I'm doing. Alright. I need to make a melee spell attack? What do I add to that?
Your spell attack bonus.
So for you would be will. Or charisma.
Intelligence. Yeah, that's my thing. Think smart.
Think smart.
Think smart. I
Smart.
got a 14.
14 will hit.
Nice. So, once again, trying to electrocute this guy. This time I got a 5.
Okay.
Do I add anything to that, or is it just what I roll? Alright. A 5's better than a 1, I'll take it.
Is that shocking grass?
Yeah.
Okay. So your claws sink into him, and you feel that surge of lightning pass through your arms into his body, and he's just basically seizing up on the ground. He's not dead yet, but he's definitely out of commission at the moment.
Good. He was doing some messed up stuff.
Which takes us back to Zira.
He wouldn't let me in the door.
How rude.
How rude.
So that takes us to Zira.
So like I know we should be killing this guy in public, but Zira is not exactly thinking about that at this moment.
What the fuck? I worked
Of
so
course not.
She's thinking about the fact that people like this asshole are why her brothers and her comrades were killed, and he's now beneath her and
electrocuted.
Throw
him out the window then, where people can see. Please.
I mean, how much does he look like he weighs?
Not much. I mean, he's basically a scribe. Like
Could I throw him out the window?
Do a strength check.
Okay, I rage first, and then I throw him out the window. Her body shakes as she drops down onto him, grabs him by the collar, and is just gonna throw him out the window.
Go ahead and get a luck point for that.
Alright. And I get advantage on my strength check. Sweetness. That is a 23. To just throw this asshole out the window.
You guys see this 4-foot, 10-year-old looking girl practically scream, run into the room, grab him, and throw him out the window.
She just dropped out of the window like fucking Batman and threw this asshole out the window.
In the window, you go out.
There's a small second before you hear the crunch as he lands and meets the pavement.
So what's in the room?
What's in the room?
So aside from the altar, there are various herbs and stuff like Deathbell and Nightshade kind of scattered near the altar, as well as a couple of soul gems, which are set at either end of the altar.
What are those?
Soul gems are those crystals that you guys saw last session, which are capable of absorbing souls in order to be used in enchantments. They serve as almost like magical batteries, as long as they're filled.
Scoop them up.
Okay.
I didn't break into this room not to take anything with me.
There is also a chest where he likely kept his stuff.
Please, is it locked?
If it's locked, that's not a big issue.
How safely and quickly could Zero go out the window?
If you're with me, pretty safely and pretty quickly.
Oh
But
no,
you're
she's
not.
still raging. She threw this asshole out the window.
Oh, then
She's
you're your
gonna
own
go make
problem
sure
right
he's
now.
dead.
Temper tantrum.
Yes.
Goddamn little child.
Oh yeah, she's pissed.
Tiny rage child.
I'm too busy stealing to help you.
Child, come back.
And I'm also too busy stealing to help.
Yeah.
buddy.
How safely could I get back down the wall?
That depends on how you go down the wall.
I said safely, but quickly. Minimal damage.
Those two things seem to be at odds with each other.
I'm just gonna say you jump out the window, kind of using your dagger to slide down the wall. It catches a few times, kind of slowing your fall, but you still take a good 8 bludgeoning damage when you hit the ground.
I take 4.
Yes, you do.
Cause I'm raging.
Yep.
Less damage.
Okay, is the guy dead?
Well, judging by the fact that his organs are splayed out on the ground due to the
40
height,
feet should not have killed him.
40 feet killed him.
I say that can kill average person.
I
Be
mean,
quite
you can
honest.
mutilate the body.
Because
So normally you
the
have
way
to-
he landed,
You have to fall from a height above like 60 feet to ensure death. You can actually survive anything less than 50.
the way he fell because you threw him out the window
Was head first?
was head first. So not only is his head now smeared all over the pavement, but his spine had actually ended up bending backward, and his ribs had burst out of his chest as a result. Hence, organs.
Okay. So she's sure he's dead?
Oh yeah, there's no coming back from that.
She kind of...
He was eating.
Next thing you know, he just like came back to life as a zombie.
No.
With all his organs hanging out and everything.
It takes her a moment. Like she has like the dagger in hand and really tempted to just like stab him a few good times. But she kind of starts to calm as she looks at his dead body and just in Yoku, she starts basically telling him and his gods that she will find the rest like him and she will hunt them down and she will kill them all.
Yay.
So, what's in that chest?
Upon opening the chest, you find a good 83 septums,
Yay.
another couple soul gems, and you find his journal.
Ooh.
I stick that in my shirt.
Along with a few robes and stuff that are appropriate to the Mages Guild.
That's not my size. Right. So, did we get most things of value in this room?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna all right, Tashtar, you ready to leave?
Yes.
Take my
We got
hand.
everything we need.
Do you trust me?
I mean, you were the first person to free me when we were all locked together, so sure.
Nice.
Sure. Like, not quite, but sure.
All right. I'm gonna feather fall us out the window.
You can fly, you can fly, you can fly. Okay, so
Well, that's 60 feet, so it's enough to get down safely.
Big happy thoughts.
you guys land without a sound behind Zira, just in time to see her just like pretty much swearing vengeance in Yoku at the mess of a body at the base of the tower.
Are you okay? Do you want some money?
She slowly kind of turns and looks at you, and you can tell that she's calming down, but she's definitely like still a little on edge. And you're like, "Do you want some money?" And she kind of like tilts her head for a moment, and then smiles, but you can tell something's still off, and she's like, "Sure."
Cool.
Cute.
How much money do you give her?
I will give her 20 money.
20 monies. All right.
Thurman, in answer to your question, that was the 83 gold that they pulled out of the chest.
I'm on his stuff. It was me. I was typing it.
Oh, yeah, 83 gold.
83?
Mm-hmm.
So my assumption is I would have split it with Tashdar,
Yes, we would
like
have
41 to 42.
Mm-hmm.
we can
So
have
I'm
the
going to
42.
give Zara 20 of mine.
So, Chilinak, were you waiting outside the tower?
Well, I was actually waiting outside of Winterhold for them.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Ashanti.
Yes.
So, you witnessed Zira in a fit of rage throw the quarry out the window and then jump out the window. You saw everybody kind of loot the room, and then they also jump out the window.
Yes.
Defenestration!
What do you do?
It's the word of the day.
What do you do?
Oh, I walk out of the building.
Okay.
I'm invisible.
Already some guards as well as some mages are rushing up to the room, and you can even hear behind you one of the wizards just goes, "What?"
Wait, I have an idea.
Yes.
I have an idea. Does he have like ink and partridge around parchment? I'm sorry.
Yes, he also has a partridge and a pear tree.
Awesome.
You do. There is ink and parchment. Yes.
Okay, I just slather my hand in black ink and I just stamp it onto a piece of parchment and I put it on the bottom. Right, I throw it out the window and I leave.
So you head out the room and some of the wizards you can hear as they see the shrine in the room. Just, what in oblivion? And as you step outside, like Zira is talking with Tashtar and Zoe, and you just see your piece of paper just slowly drift and finally land on the mangled corpse, just perfectly.
Totally intentional.
So, Julinak, I'm assuming you're waiting out by the entrance to the Thieves' Den where you guys had initially gained access to the sanctuary?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you all head back to there as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm taking some organs.
All done.
You take some organs, Duncan. Yes, you do.
I just leave though, like afterwards, like I'm just the thing stealing organs. While there's a crowd gathering, watching this body on the ground. Just saying.
For the sake of expediency, I'll just say that he was making it look like he was rifling through the pockets.
Okay.
There we go.
Slipping a heart and a liver into his bag.
That was totally in the guy's pockets.
Stuff from-
You gave him.
Yeah.
Oh god.
You guys all get back to the sanctuary, and the speaker is waiting expectantly. And Ajanti, as you walk up, the speaker raises a thick gray eyebrow. Is it done?
Yeah, it's done. They performed. What's the word? Well,
It was electrifying.
It was electrifying. Yes.
He smiles knowingly and says, "Well then, I would say that the debt is paid, but that's just the spiritual debt. I can't very well have you fulfill a contract without a little bit of more mundane compensation." And he hands you guys 300 gold to divide between yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's 50 gold piece.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So then he looks at each of you. You do have the makings for being able to be with this family, should you so desire. The Brotherhood does protect its own.
I am good, thank you.
I have my own names on a list.
Do you now? And he gestures toward the black book. He says, "If you wish, you may take a look at what names we have listed here and compare."
I nod.
He says, "After you all leave, you should forget that this place exists."
Even me?
He just rolls his eyes at the Arconian. He rolls his eyes at the Arconian and says, "You of all people should know that any sanctuary is a home to you, Ajanti."
I make joke.
He kind of looks at each of you. He says, "Should you wish to change your mind, there are sanctuaries all across Tamriel. Ajanti,
Yes.
you've performed admirably in the Night Mother's service, and I do think there is some good to be made if you were to accompany these assassins."
Well, I'm gonna call them assassins. I call them more, hitmen at this point. But
Sounds about right.
We do hit men.
so long as we are heading in the direction of another enclave, then I don't see the point in it. I don't see the harm in it. Thank you.
I'd like you to accompany them. Keep an eye. Make sure they don't double cross our contracts.
Of course. Don't be taking any of our work. I'll make sure of that.
And if there is some blood to be spilt, be sure it is in the name of Sithis.
Always and forever, baby. I'm hissed in the streets and then citizen in the sheets.
What?
Yes. I stand by what I said. I'll walk out of the room awkwardly.
So you guys head out of the sanctuary, and now you have the whole expanse of Skyrim before you.
Before I leave the sanctuary, I do take a look at the book.
Okay.
Do I know the name of the guy I'm looking for?
Oh, that book.
You know the names of some of the people who were in the cult with him.
Okay.
And from the looks of it, there are a couple of names that match with the contracts.
Okay. I want to talk to the leader guy.
Okay.
Specifically about those names.
Mm-hmm.
Because while she isn't one for like killing those who are innocent and whatnot, those assholes, they deserve it.
Yeah.
And she would be willing to take those ones out.
Mm-hmm.
As she's informing him that she intends on. And since they're on a list, it means that it would conflict potentially if she gets to them later.
Mm-hmm.
So she's basically just letting him know of like those names right there. I intend on killing them.
He smiles and pulls out the matching documents and hands them to you, and just looks you. It peers into your eyes, and it feels almost as if he's piercing into your soul. He says, "Welcome to the Brotherhood, sister." And you can feel in your pocket the dagger almost seems to flare to life. And when you pull it out, like you saw the picture of the dagger before, but now it seems to have magical markings on it and everything.
And she would have wanted to make it clear that it's only those of that cult that she intends on killing.
It doesn't matter to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured not, but
Yeah.
she's still pissed, so
Yeah.
she's totally willing to join a group that will allow her who she wants dead.
Yeah. So on the part of your character sheet where you've got like contacts and like associations and stuff like that, go ahead and add the Dark Brotherhood to it.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys head out into the snow, and you have the whole expanse of Skyrim before you. It's up to you as far as where you would like to go.
I had a lot of murder. Let's go to bed.
There's another enclave in Falkirk, near Falkirk that I'm aware of.
Near Falkreath?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend going that way. Travel our way there, and whatever we encounter, we encounter.
I suggest a location that corresponds to a name on my list. Whatever that direction is.
I want to look for a map and see if I can
And see if you can
find a place that I'm going that I want to, which is my original home.
So your home was actually in Hrothgar, which is still quite a ways yet to the east, or not to the east, to the west.
Mm-hmm.
However, upon comparing notes and whatnot and doing some investigation into those names, it does seem like it may be possible to take a trip to Orsinium.
Okay.
So.
Right. Okay, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
about going there.
Is everybody on board with going to Orsinium?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that a location in which I want to go?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
One of your quarries is there.
Good. Mm-hmm. She's all for it then.
Okay.
Wait, no, never mind. I'll ask it next time.
All right. So, you guys, prepare to head out. I'm guessing you guys are chartering a ship, or are you guys going to travel via land?
We'll take a ship. I mean, I want to take a ship.
I'm good with ships.
I'm fine with a ship, I suppose.
Boats are fine.
Are you guys seasick?
Boats are perfectly acceptable. We are sailors.
Okay. Sweet. So you head off toward the far western mountains and snowy reaches of Hrothgar, and that is where we will leave off for today. For those of you who have been watching, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, comment, and even subscribe down below. And we will catch you in session 3